is Joey. Welcome to my channel. I am working yet again, with my Sam's bead box for this month. It was called Sassy 60s, and I literally cannot put the beads away. I've lost track of the projects. I know I've done 2 necklaces, a bracelet, a pair of earrings. I can't remember what else I've done, but I still have all of this left over, and it's so delicious. It was my first time ever receiving Sam's bead box, and they were kind enough to give my audience a discount if they want to subscribe to the box. So I'll put that link and discount code in the description box under this video. But I am going to do today one of my Brazilian waxed cord boho knotted colorful bracelets, and I'm going to be using this marigold color. That's not what it's called, but let me show you the necklace that I did. This is one of the necklaces that I did, and this marigold donut bead was a perfect match for this cord that I had in my stash, and I loved it showing through all the colors in this box so very much that I want to do another project with it. So what I have done is an unmeasured, I know that drives some of you crazy, but I did not measure. Knotting does eat up a lot of length of your cord when you're doing a knotted project. And I just give myself extra. If I don't use it all, I either make fringiness out of it or save the scraps for earrings or downward little fringes on pendants and things like that. So I'm going to take and fold this in half. And before I get started, let me show you what else is happening here. I picked up a few buttons from this really beautiful button shop on a bead shopping trip in South Florida. It was called Jennifer Wiles Studio, and it's this little freeform button, really contemporary, and I thought it had just the best 60s vibe. And then I also had in my stash these little ceramic birds, and the blues and oranges are absolutely perfect. So one or both of those may get into my bracelet. And then the seed bead mix is absolutely wonderful, and this is going to make its way in my bracelet in 2 different ways. And I'm going to premise this by saying I have not done a prototype of this design, and there's a couple of things I want to try that I've never done before to make this really special and not your typical strung knotted bracelet. So I'm just going to tell you, I may have to say, oops, that didn't work, but little design on the fly. I'm going to share the process with you. This is what I have left of those tiny pressed glassed bicones that were in the box, and I'm going to use those to make my final clasp. And this is what I have left from my necklace of the table cut beads, and I think I have a few more of these He/She discs, so they might make their way in as well. So that's what I'm working with. In the description box, I can link these little birds, I can link the cord that I'm using, and as I go, if there's anything else that I think you might be interested in, either for your own work or to go along with the box if you got this box, then we'll do that. So the first thing I am going to do is put one side of my cord through the buttonhole, and then I'm going to take this other side and get a few seed beads on here just to embellish the button. But you know what? I think I'm pretty sure, let me try. It looks like the buttonholes are going to, yep, the seed beads go right through the buttonholes. So I'm glad I noticed that. Let's see what I have here. See if I have something here that will, that's kind of pretty. Okay, a little improvisation. I'm going to put one of these disc beads right on top of my button, and then a few seed beads. I just like to embellish, and you could actually just let the cord show across the top of the button, but I just have a hard time leaving it alone. Let me see if I am going to be able to get my waxed cord. What I did is I don't always stiffen the ends of my waxed cord, but I did put a little gel super glue on these because this particular brand in this 0.5 millimeter, I found that it didn't have very much wax on it, and it was coming unraveled pretty easily as I try to string. So I'm going to do a nice angled cut. I do know that these seed beads fit on here. Just have to get the end of the cord just right for stringing. So I'm going to pick up a few just random. It doesn't take very many to go across the holes of the button. So I'm going to start with just a few of the smaller beads on my strand, one of the bicones, and I'll see how I feel about this little disc. I might just do another bicone, but I really love the different shapes and the colors. So I'm going to put one of my cords down through my button and through the right hole, and the other cord down through the left hole, and just pull everything down to the button and make sure that I have the beads right in the center of my length. So it's just like, oh, that is cute. I really like that. It's just a little funky little bead embellishment, and I just need to match up these ends before I do my first knot so I don't waste any cord. And like I said, if you want, this is only 0.5 millimeter Brazilian waxed cord. So if you wanted to like loop through a couple of times and just have the cord laying across here, you could do that. You could loop through a couple of times and then just do seed beads. But I want to make it look like a really funky, like really wonderful closure. And I do need something on the back of this, just because the back of this button has this stamped writing and it's got a little like concave. So I'm just going to embellish the back because I want my bracelet to be beautiful all the way around. And I think I'm going to cut this strand open now and take one of these yellow faceted rondelles and put that on the back of my bracelet. Both strands going through it, if they will fit. That's part, if you've never done a waxed cord project before, it's a bit of a bead puzzle. It's amazing. Like, I can see that I'm going to be able to get 2 strands, and even more maybe would go through these buttons. But I'm just going to do that with a yellow bead on the back of my button and do an overhand knot to get started. And I love my knotting tweezer. You don't have to have a knotting tweezer. You can do this with your fingers. You could also use something like a Xuron crimping plier with the really tiny tips. But to me, a knotting tweezer, it's so precision. And to me, that's invaluable in doing a project like this, because when I reach inside this loop and get a hold of my cords, that is going to, I can even push it down so that it's really tight. And right where the tip of my tweezer is, when I pull my overhand knot, get my cords going in the same. When I pull it, the knot lands exactly where the tip of my tweezer was, and then I can tighten it down. And I don't get any weird gaps or unwanted space in a knotting project. So I love knotting tweezers for that reason. And then I just have to start building my bracelet, and I think I'm going to try one of these. And I think most of these beads, this one might take 2 strands. Most of them are going to take 1 strand only, and the other one is going to have to hug the outside of the bead. But I like that, especially when my cord is this beautiful. So these go on, and I got both cords through that. So pretty. But when my cord is such a perfect match and so pretty, I actually don't mind seeing a lot of the cord. So I'm going to do the same thing, overhand knot, reach inside the loop and pull. I'm going to add in a little gold here and there, and I think I'm going to try to do these birds, but I don't want to do them, if it's possible, I don't want to string them so that they're laying down. I want to try to get them to sit up on my bracelet. So that's my one plan. And then my other cool thing that I've never done before that I want to add in is adding in some thread on top of this and doing something really dimensional. I'm kind of excited about it. In my head, I think it's going to work. So we'll try that out together. And let's see, I do want to get these flowers in here, but I am pretty sure that I'm even going to need to get out a big eye needle. So if you're doing, oh, this one is going through. That's good. If you're doing this and the thread, you can see that the thread will fit through the bead, but you're just struggling getting it in, a big eye needle is great. So what I do when 2 strands won't fit is just let that thread hang out on the outside, make my overhand knot, and then go through the loop and get a hold of the one that's on the outside of the bead as well as the one that's coming through the bead. And same thing, just pull and just tighten it down. You can use the tweezer. You can use your tweezer to tighten it down, but it's already so pretty. I almost have nothing on there and it's already so gorgeous. And I think next up, I really want a little bit of gold in here. So I'm gonna do, I know that both strands go through these he/she disc spacers because I use them on my other project. So both strands go through that, and then, you know, you just choose what comes next. And I think I'm gonna use this last pink opal bead. I think that's gonna go next. And if I remember right, I think both strands go through this too. Yes, they do. So I rarely stiffen the ends of Brazilian waxed cord with clear nail polish or gel super glue because the wax makes it so that you can just pinch and twist. But some brands, like this particular brand, it doesn't have as much wax on it, and so sometimes I will stiffen. So, you know, for me, I would just say do what makes the stringing experience comfortable. So another overhand knot, reach inside the loop, get a hold of my beads, and pull. And pull your tweezer out and push the knot down. Oh my, it's so pretty. And you'll see as we get going, but one of my favorite things about stringing on waxed cord is the fluidity. Your piece is almost scarf-like. There's nothing rigid. It just drapes across the body. I just love the fluidity of it. It feels, you know, like I said, almost scarf-like. So I need to decide. I also haven't decided if I'm going to use both birds or just the orange. I really don't know, but I think that I want to get one of these in here. And I was not successful with my test strand getting this through. Let me try. Because I cut the end into a really sharp point, I was able to get that one in. So I'm going to let that run down and do the same thing. Let one of my cords hang out on the back. I let it be random because, as you can see, this is going to spin around, and I rather like the cord being on the outside. So overhand knot, pull it through, and same thing. It's very repetitive and very relaxing. And I've said this before, I will start out thinking I need a 7-inch bracelet, and the next thing I know, I have a 16-inch bracelet because it's so fun and you just want to keep going. So I think here is where I'm going to add in my bird, one of my birds. And I think I'm going to try for this orange bird. I'm going to put both strands through him. It's a really big hole, but it's a little rough inside, so I'm catching on something. There we go. And so I'm going to play with the idea of a bead that is going to sit, a small bead that's going to sit on his back, and I wonder, oh, I know what I have that will work. I have these really small gold-filled spacer beads. They are 3 millimeter, and I think they will work really well, and I'll show you what I'm planning to do. So I'm going to take, it's amazing how such a small bead has a big enough hole to take 2 strands of this when some of the really big beads barely hold one. So that's the bead puzzle, the challenge of this. But I'm going to put both strands through this little spacer bead because that ceramic bird has a really large hole. And I'm going to let that bead come down and sit right on the top of him. And then I'm going to take these 2 strands and go back down through my bird. And so that gold bead is going to act as a stopper and make my bird sit up instead of laying on his side on my bracelet. It's going to make him, so just pull. So now the gold bead is right there on the back of the bird, and it looks so pretty. And let's see, what do I want to do here? Another knot, another overhand knot, and you know what? I'm going to do a surgeon's knot. So one loop through and a second loop through. This will give me a chunkier knot. Then same thing, reach inside, get a hold of the cord underneath my bird, and pull my double looped knot right into place. And now my bird, I'm ready to string my next bead, and my bird is now sitting up on my bracelet instead of laying on his side. And I may even go, sometimes I feel like adding flowers and things to this, so I may even go and get some flowers to add in. And he's a little heavy, so like laying like this, he doesn't look good. But when the other beads are in and he's on my wrist, he's going to sit up nicely. I think I'm going to like it like that. So I think next thing is going to be, what am I going to do next? I don't want to do an orange flower. I do want one of these orange flowers in, and maybe I'll go for one of these. And I'm going to continue through the length with a disc spacer on either side of those melon beads. Just keep that going in my pattern. Down to my last knot, and same thing, overhand knot. So I'm going to continue like this until I have my desired length. It's going to be pretty random, not much of a pattern. I'm just going to alternate the colors. So like next, I think I'm going to do this orange flower. Okay, I have basically done most of my length here. The only thing I did different is I wanted another pink, since I only had one pink up here. And on the cord that's going to hang outside, like these are plain, I just strung some seed beads and then did my knot right there. And so it is pretty random. I'm getting like a little bit of everything in here. And I also decided to make a little bead stack for my blue bird, and I'm going to hang him somewhere on the bracelet. I felt like two birds was going to be a little bit heavy on this piece. So the other thing that I've been experimenting with is these little diamond frames, these little links. I tried doing a kind of turning it into a bead frame. The orange aventurine faceted beads fit in there just perfectly, but this one's like a little bit wonky. I kind of like it though. I left it, but then I was thinking about actually trying this in my bracelet. So what I'm going to do is put both my cords through the diamond, and I'm going to get a knot. Just put a knot so that I'm tying at the point of the diamond. So let's get it down there, pretty close to my other knot. I'm going to use my knotting tweezer to tighten it. There. And now my cord is kind of laying right in the middle of that diamond, and now I'm going to take both of my strands and take one of these orange aventurine beads and string it so it's like sitting in the middle of that frame. I loved these little frames, so it's just a really sweet little component. And then I'm going to have to creatively do another knot on this end, just like that. Work it down and make it tight. Oh, it's so pretty. I really love it. I love seeing the orange aventurine, the cord, and that little bead frame. And then maybe I'll even use this one as a dangle somewhere on the bracelet, because I am pretty much at my length. That is the length that I'm going to need. So to finish the clasp off, I'm going to come to this end and take one of my strands and fill it with these seed beads and these bicone beads. I'm going to make a loop out of these beads that is big enough to fit over the button closure. So it's just a little bit of stringing. I'm just going to make a bead pattern here. I'm going to put one of these bicones, and then just have to decide if I want to do 2 seed beads in between or 1 seed bead. Just play for a second with my pattern and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, that is my cute pattern. It's the 2 seed beads in between each of those pressed glass bicones, and the way that I know that I'm done with the length is when I fold it into a loop and come to this end and just test it over my button closure. It slides over easily. Whoops, too easily. I'm trying to hold on to everything and just show you. So I can see that it's not going to be difficult to take on and off. And so now I just need to secure it right here. And I just do this kind of haphazard. I don't think there's an exact science. I'll just do another overhand knot to bring the 2 cords together. And then I'll show you. I like to wrap around the final knot. Just get it down. And I like to wrap around the final knot a couple of times. And I just keep tying on top of the knot until I'm happy with the chunkiness of the final knot. So I'm just like, get that loop in there. And it's like all the knotting projects, you can get your knot kind of in place, and like for this, it's a matter of not having this loop get loose while I'm trying to do the knot. So you can, before you commit by tightening down, you can check your loop. Trying to hold on to everything as well as keep my fingers out of the way so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just going to pull. That's pretty good. And so what I'll do is like bring this cord around and bring this cord around and do another overhand knot just to tie a knot around the base. Like I said, it's not much of a science. I just do a lot of knotting, and so for me that's what I do. And once you get a couple of them in there, it's really easy. And I'll just keep knotting front to back like that. Whoops, not over that bead, until I'm happy with the chunkiness. And oftentimes I'll put a little GS Hypo Cement or Bead-A-Lon beader's glue on these knots, but it's really not necessary. Just pull it tight. And then from here, like this can get cut away and be just a clean, you know, just a clean knot, or you can string beads on it. I don't think I'm going to string beads on mine because I have some other busyness planned for this bracelet. So what I am going to do is put a little bit of GS Hypo Cement on that. It's a good idea to put your glue in your knot before you trim away your excess. So I'm going to do that, and it can dry while we work on the next part. This glue has this wonderful precision tip, but as soon as you take that pin out, the glue starts to flow, and you have to get the pin back in because the glue just keeps coming. But I love it because I can put this tip right down inside my knots. But you got to hurry to get the pin back in. Okay, so I'm just going to let that hang out, and I'm going to show you the plan. I can remove some of this length. I won't cut it really close until it's dry, but like this is enough for earrings or even what I'm about to do. But I pre-cut. One of these is a scrap, the others I cut. I have 4 pieces here, and you know, I think I've never done this. I think it's going to work, and what I want to do is come to this part. Whoops, I was looking at it this way. I want to come to this part and tie this on right in front of my bird. So I'm just going to come right here and tie this on again with a couple of overhand knots. And then my plan is to thread some seed beads on at least one of the loops and have a seed bead bow right in with my bird. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me string the seed beads, but I'll show you the plan. And I may leave a couple of the loops just plain because I really do love the color of this cord, but I'm just going to string some seed beads. So I'm going to use this same mix, add some more to my little dish, and I might even just put in, I had 5 bicones left, so I may just go ahead and put those into my bow as well. But I'm just going to string until I have enough to make the size bow loop that makes me happy. And I think what I'll do is be looking at the scale of my bird to decide how big or small I want my bow. So let me get these beads strung on here, and I think I will just do at random, just use up these bicones. So me string, and I'll be right back. As you can see, with a nice sharp point on this waxed cord and this little dish, I found these little trays for stringing with the little mat, spongy mat at the base. And when I have to pick up really small seed beads, it is such a dream. I get my stringing done really effortlessly, and cleaning up is really easy too. I'll just be a minute. Be right back. Okay, I went ahead and did one side so I could kind of, whoops, I don't want to lose my seed beads. I forgot that I didn't put a clamp on this side. Of course, it's a bow, so I had to string 2 threads for the loops of the bow, and I did them exactly the same. I counted, and I did this side, and I realized that all these cords are in your way, so that I could show you how I am securing the bow loops. I took one of the empty cords and tied it on to the loop, and I'll do the same thing on the other bow loop, and then I have all of these to work with to secure it so that it looks really nice. And then from there I can decide if I want to do more beaded loops, like a multi-loop bow, or I really love the color of this cord, or if I want to just do some plain loops in with the seed beads. That's what I'm leaning toward because I really do love the color of the cord. So all I'm going to do is loop this around. Let me zoom in a little bit to help you to see, because it's helpful to leave it laying flat on the mat. So I'm just going to loop it around and just choose one of my empty cords here. Let me get one from underneath there. And I'm just going to lay that in there and take one of my empty cords and make a loop. It's kind of the same thing that I did for the button closure loop. To wiggle it down past the seed beads, and you know it's not secured, so it definitely wants to get away, but that's your first loop that you need to secure it. Get my seed beads. I don't want to tie any of my seed beads out of the loop. Okay, so once you have it, like your loop down to the base, then you're just going to do another overhand knot, and that's going to make the loop nice and tight. You just like wiggle it down to the base of the seed beads, and then you can see when I pull, I'm getting a nice tight loop. And then you can do a couple of overhand knots to secure it. And then I have all these extra threads to play with, so I can secure the bow however I want it to look. I can cut away the extra threads. I can make plain loops, you know, like from there. It's really pretty. I love it. So I'm just going to play with like how I want to gather these up and make a nice center knot on my bow. So let's see, 4 on each side. And that's the cool thing about the Brazilian wax cord, and also this really thin one, because it's very forgiving. And you guys, I'm so sorry about sort of the water that you're hearing in the background. It's a relaxing day at home, and I'm cleaning house. I prepped my vegetables for the week, made 4 salads, different salads, and put them in the fridge. And I'm cleaning, you know, I have the dishwasher going, and it's pretty noisy, but I hope that it won't be too distracting. But I'm just doing that. I'm just, you know, making that bow look really pretty. And then like from here, I just play a little bit and decide if I want to do some plain loops. I really like that. I really like seeing the cord. So maybe I'm going to pull this up and just do another overhand knot behind. Just going to play for a second with knotting. This is, I wish for those of you that are not familiar with knotting techniques that I could give you a step-by-step exact scientific way to do this, but I make my jewelry with my heart, and especially on a piece like this, I would just play with my knots and my cords until it's the chunkiness that I like, and also until it's like laying the way that I want on my bracelet. And in this case, I feel like I needed to go around behind my bird again and just do another overhand knot. And I definitely will, when I get happy with it, I definitely will put some knotter's glue on this one. Okay, I left this alone a little bit to let my glue dry, and I will not lie, it was a little tricky to get my bow loops just the way that I wanted them. So I played with it until I was happy with it, and then what I decided to do is do little final knots and trim and just make some fringiness. So I saved 2 of them to do with you, and on a couple of them I just tied them together as one thread. So let's see if I want to, and I think I'll do that here as well. So just the same thing, an overhand knot, and you can use your knotting tweezer just like you do when there are beads. So you can like reach inside your loop on just the empty strand and choose the spot where you want that knot. So like right there, and just pull. Whoops, I missed a thread. To pull both at the same time. There you go. And I've been doing double knots on the end. It's not really necessary when there's 2 strands, but then I'm just going to take my scissors and trim, and then use my knotting tweezer to separate those fibers and make this a little bit fringy. So it's really boho, and you get that textile look, and I just love the dimension of this. I think this worked pretty well. These ceramic birds are a little bit heavier than I would have liked for this cord, but so are these beads. But as I was saying, you get a very fluid, almost scarf-like piece of jewelry with the Brazilian wax cord, and I just love that fun dimension there. And so if you have like acrylic birds, I think those would be really pretty here too. But because of the weight, I decided not to put this one as part of my strung section, and I just did a ball head pin in a little stack and got a simple loop in the top of that bird. I just did it by hand, and I have a jump ring here, and I'm just going to choose a spot to hang him, and I was thinking maybe right here on this side of this orange flower, because it's blue and it's just keeping the colors alternating the way that I was doing. I need to open this a little bit more. I have a terrible habit of not opening my jump rings wide enough. I don't know why I'm afraid to open them. So I'm just going to come over the whole circumference of my bracelet. I'm not going to try to hook it through a thread, and I do that on pretty much everything, because then this charm will go around 360 degrees, and it doesn't really matter which way I pick my bracelet up to clasp it, that my charm will hang just right no matter which way I put it on. Just get in there. Jump ring tool is actually not working on this piece. Just get in there and close it. Oh, that is so, so sweet. I love it. And I had done a briolette wrap on this drop for one of my other projects, and I didn't use it. And I was just thinking, it's so sweet, just add it in somewhere on this bracelet. So maybe even just right here behind the clasp, just for an extra little texture, color, dangle. Why not? It's already made and it's so pretty. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm not going to try to get it through any loop. I'm just going to go over the circumference, add my drop, and close that jump ring. And when I pick it up, I'll show you. So doing that like this, no matter which way I clasp my bracelet, it's just going around very easily. And this is just the sweetest thing. And I love the dimension of the little bow. And like I said, my other bracelet is in the way, but when it's on my arm, look how pretty that is. It's so spring and happy and whimsical and just really, really fun. And so like the necklace that I made, the marigold necklace, let me grab that again. This is like gorgeous resort wear. I could do the necklace and bracelet, and I did make a gorgeous pair of earrings as well. I mean, I've ended up with so much jewelry from this box, and I am just so impressed and so in love with Sam's Bead Box. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sam and Rachel. I love what you did this month. You made my job really, really easy. If you're interested in subscribing to Sam's Bead Box, I have a discount code, as I said at the beginning, and check my description box, and I'll put some better pictures of this up at the end of the video. And I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.